Hey ladies, how are you doing? How is it going? So, it's been a minute since I came your way, but I'm super excited to be right with you all through this week for our Blossom and Bloom challenge. It's going to be the next few days, it's going to touch you, change you, reawaken you. And the theme for this challenge is awake, arise, advance, awake, arise, advance. And this is for God's daughters who are ready for more. This is for God's daughters who are hungry for an unprecedented move of God like never before. This is for God's daughters who are ready to step into the new. And if this sounds like you, can I get you in the chat saying, "This is me"? Like, this is me right now. Just put it in the chats. This is me. I'm going to try to make these videos as short as possible because I believe that God has put so much in my heart for you. But I'm going to try to get it as short as possible and so that you can watch it. And we're going to be having daily review sessions on our Telegram page at 7 p.m. So I encourage you to ensure that you are in the room at 7 p.m. every day. Let's have this conversation. Let's align ourselves to what God is really doing in this season and in this dispensation. My first teaching is awake, shake off the slumber. I was reading the scripture in Isaiah chapter 52, verse 1, and it says, "Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion, put on your beautiful garments." You see, a lot of times we're sleeping, and we're sleeping on our callings, we're sleeping on our assignment, we're sleeping on the things that God has put in our heart. And being asleep here is not really talking about physical rest, but a spiritual disengagement, a spiritual disalignment, where you're disconnected from your voice, from your power, from your vision. I'm talking about spiritual slumber, where your prayer life is weak, where your word intake is not consistent, and when your discernment is dull. I'm talking about mental slumber, where you are stuck in self doubt, where you are overthinking, where you're scared of failing. I'm talking about emotional slumber, where you're numb due to disappointment, due to heartbreak, or even trauma, where your destiny, you're sleeping, your dreams are delayed, your gifts are unexpressed, your assignment is being ignored. And the truth of the matter is this: slumber is not the absence of movement, but the absence of momentum. So you can be moving, you can be doing things, you can be very busy, but you could actually not be making progress. You're not moving, there's no momentum for you to achieve the things that God has called you to achieve. And I was thinking about it and I wondered, what are maybe some reasons why, as God's daughters, we slip into the slumber mode? Number one is comfort zone. When all of a sudden life feels safe, we stop stretching, we get content. In the name of being contented with what we have, we desire to stop stretching. We desire to stay within the confines of what's comfortable. This happens to a lot of us. Maybe you get a job where you're getting paid, and then all of a sudden you forget the business that God has put in your heart to start. Or when you get married, because you are in your husband's house, you forget the visions and the dreams and the things that God has entrusted you with. The second thing that makes us slip into slumber as God's daughters is pain. You see, pain can reduce you into silence and hiding. Pain has a way of just shutting you up and keeping you in this space where you don't have a voice anymore, where your voice is silenced. You don't feel like you're good enough, you don't feel like you're enough, you don't feel like you matter or that your voice matters. you're stuck in limbo. And there's just something about pain that makes you want to self protect. You want to protect yourself. You don't want to speak words. You don't want to step out because you don't want to feel the emotions again. You don't want to feel the shame. You don't want to feel the pain. You don't want to feel the things that you're feeling anymore. And so you switch into hiding. You switch into wanting to preserve yourself. You see all these self-preservation tendencies. It happens we're in pain and we read out. The third is distraction and busyness. A lot of us are very busy but very unfruitful. You see, I was in a season of my life where every week I was ministering, every week I was pouring into people. I was so busy. My schedule was crazy. If you looked at my schedule, you would be overwhelmed on my behalf. And then I realized that even though I was busy, I wasn't in alignment with what God wanted me to do. I wasn't being obedient to the instructions because I felt I was too busy to add them on. But the moment I took my schedule to the Lord and I said, what am I doing right now that I'm not supposed to be doing? What am I doing right now? That is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of my calling. It's a waste of this season that I'm not bearing fruit in the way that you'll have me bear fruit. And guess what? The moment I began to pray like that, God began to speak to me and show me and say, okay, listen, you're not supposed to be doing this in this season. This is not relevant in this season. The moment God began to point fingers on this, it all made sense. It all made sense. And this is why I've come to you today. That I don't just want you to have a calendar that is so busy, that you're so intensely busy, that you're actually not being productive, that you're actually not leaning into who God has called you, how God has called you, and what God has called you to do. And so in this season, I'm challenging you to go back and check your schedule. Today is Monday, and that's beautiful. Go back and check your schedule. Go back and sit with God and say, okay, I'm so busy. I'm so overwhelmed by my calendar. What am I doing that I'm not supposed to be doing in this season? What am I doing that I'm not supposed to be doing in this season? All right. How am I doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing things in this season as well? Just open my eyes to the things that I need to let go of and give me the strength to let go of it, because it's also not just about God opening your eyes to the things that you need to let go of. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard because they are comfortable things. It's hard because they are things that we're seeing results in. I think one of the quotes that I've shared so profoundly with some of the people that are close to me is that one of the enemies of the known is the unknown. All right. Because one of the enemies of the new, rather, is the old that is still working. One of the enemies of the new is the old that is still working. So many times when the old things that we do is working, it's almost as though why fix it when there's no reason to? Why work on it when there's no reason to? Why am I giving this the time, the attention, the the push that I'm giving it when it's seeming there's no seeming need for me to? You see what I mean right there? And so it's very important. And then number four is the fear of judgment, because a lot of times we shrink to please others instead of standing tall. We shrink to fit into spaces instead of standing. We shrink to sit on tables because we want to be accepted. The fear of rejection can push us into this place of slumber. I remember a time in my life where people would tell me, "Oh, you're doing too much. You're being too much. Would you just calm down? Would you just rest?" And it just hit me recently that the enemy doesn't have to kill you, he just has to rock you to sleep. And some of the ways that he rocks you to sleep is through the words of well-meaning people. They mean well, they're seeing you everywhere, they're seeing all the things you're doing, and they feel like, oh, you're getting overwhelmed, you're doing so much, you can't keep up, and all of that. And we need to take a stand. We need to take a stand and say, listen, I'm going to push for destiny. I'm going to push for purpose. I'm going to push for my calling. I'm going to push for my assignment. I'm going to push for all that God has spoken to me in this season. I'm not going to relent. I'm not going to settle. And why is it so important that God is calling us to wake up in this season? Why is it so needed? Why is it necessary? Because the season has shifted and we cannot afford to stay in yesterday's rhythm. There's a new dawn in the body. We're in a season of transition as individuals, as a body, as nations. We are in such a pivotal season, and our actions in this season will mark the world, will mark revolution, will bring about change. And every time a woman wakes up, a generation breathes easier. Every time a woman says, I'm not going to take this sleeping, I'm not going to take this sitting, I'm not going to watch my children be destroyed, I'm not going to give birth to children in a world where they can choose their gender. I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to have a voice. Every time we wake up, we set a generation in a place where they can breathe easy because we're on our guard. Nothing moves past us. We are gatekeepers. Number two reason why you need to wake up is because there is a people waiting for your obedience. The Bible tells us that generations are waiting for the manifestations of sons. There is a generation that is waiting for you to wake up. We started this podcast, even though we decided to take a break for the month, but it was Girl Get Up. And one of the reasons why we started Girl Get Up is to wake women up, wake them up to the call of destiny, wake them up to the call of destiny, wake them up to their callings, to their assignments, to the fact that they're sleeping on the job and it's time to get up. Number three is that delay has already stolen so much from you. The fact that you've delayed, you've lost a lot of ground, you've lost a lot of time, but God is a God of restoration. And if you wake up, God is going to restore, God is going to bring back the things that you've lost. Listen, heaven invests in women who are alert. Heaven invests in women who are saying, I'm not going to give up on myself. I'm not going to write myself up. I'm not going to let the enemy have the final say. I'm not going to allow this to be the end of me. I'm going to get up. Because your comfort will soon become your coffin if you refuse to wake up. Your comfort will soon become your coffin. It will soon be where we lay you to rest if you refuse to get up. When you're sleeping, you're vulnerable. When you're sleeping, you're letting the enemy have the last word. When you're sleeping, you are saying to the enemy, I'm giving you room to wreak havoc in my life. I'm giving you room to do the worst. I'm giving you room to make a mess of my life. I'm giving you room to destroy me. I'm giving you room to stop me. But every time we wake up, we're unstoppable. Every time we wake up, we're unstoppable. So how do we shake off slumber? How do we shake off slumber? How do we shake it off? How do we shake it off? Do we just move our heads and just say, shake it off, shake it off? No, 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 no. That's not how we do it. I'm going to give you a bit of a process on how to wake up. And when we meet this evening, we're going to talk a little more. But number one is confront your comfort zone. You see, growth is uncomfortable by design. So you want to ask yourself questions like, what am I protecting that is keeping me from progressing? What am I protecting? What am I saving? What am I covering for that is keeping me from making progress? Remember, I told you that your comfort will soon become your coffin if you refuse to rise, if you refuse to wake up. So what am I protecting that is keeping me from making progress? The second thing you want to do is to redefine your identity. Redefine your identity. A lot of us are living in an identity that is shaped by labels, societal labels, the labels of the world, like, oh, I'm too young, oh, I'm a woman, this is not for women that are single, this is too late for me, I'm too broken. But it's time for us to begin to see ourselves as God sees us. And if you can, watch the back to basics teaching I did on audacity, and just, sit with it, because you want to begin to see yourself as God sees you. He sees you as chosen, He sees you as royal, He sees you as powerful. You're not there yet, but if you say it long enough, if you sit with it long enough, if you begin to work towards it, you will become her. You would activate, you would unleash her, because that's one of the reasons why this word for the year is so powerful to me, because the enemy is not afraid of who you are now. He's afraid of who you're becoming. He's afraid of what your surrender is shifting and shaking in the realm of the spirit. He's afraid of what your strength would take from him. All right. And then number three is discipline. You see, disciplining in your daily life. We don't, I think it's the author of Atomic Habits, James Clear, who says we do not rise to our goals, we rise to our systems. So we want to begin to build small and consistent habits of devotion, of journaling, of excellence in our work, in our appearance, right? Because your daily habits can create and shape your destiny. Your daily habits. Listen, your future is hiding in your routines. Your future is hiding in your routine. So what are the things that you're doing today consistently that is shaping your future, that is giving edge to your future? What are the things that you're doing in this season of your life that you are waking up possibilities deep within you? You're not just taking things lying down. You're not just being, careless, laissez-faire about things. You're being proactive. You're surrendered. You're partnering with God's spirit to begin to build. That's those are the things that you're doing daily. And of course, I'm reigniting your intimacy with God. A woman on her knees is a woman on the rise. A woman on her knees is a woman on the rise. When we combine prayers and the word, we are giving ourselves oxygen to reawaken. And you know that an awakened woman is unstoppable. An awakened woman is a force. An awakened woman is an answer to the prayer of a generation. All right. And so, ahead of tonight's meeting, I want you to think about areas of your life where you have been asleep the longest, in your spiritual life, in your mind, in your emotions, in your destiny. What are those spaces where you've been asleep? And then you want to pay attention and ask yourself, what is one specific habit or pattern that has lulled you to sleep, that has, almost like it sang a lullaby for you and you went to bed? What is that area of your life? Number two is that you want to write down, or number three rather, is you want to write down areas of your life that you have abandoned or you've forgotten in the last 5 years. You want to ask yourself, what stopped you and what will it take to wake up again? What stopped you and what will it take to wake up again? Because listen, I believe that at the end of these 5 days, at the end of this challenge, you're going to confront your comfort zones. You're going to wake up and you're going to get back to work. You're going to get back on top to the things that God is saying to you, to the things that God is doing with you, and to the ways that God is really lifting and strengthening you to move in this season. So don't fold your hands. Trust God that God is doing phenomenal things, unbelievable things in and through your life. And I love you. I'll see you tonight by 7 and tomorrow when the video for tomorrow is released again. But it's time for you to awake, arise, and advance, because a generation is waiting on you. God is waiting on you. And guess what? You are waiting on you, because the version of you that you see right now is not the most you can be. It's not the best you can be. It's not all that you can be. And God is strengthening you for all that you can be. God bless you. And I love you so dearly. Bye for now, guys.